Hey everyone, this is Ivan from Pintado Tennis Training, and today we're gonna go over how to hit a forehand for a beginner. So stay tuned if you're a beginner and let's check it out. Okay guys, so for the grip, I like to place my hand like this. So if the strings are facing this way, my knuckle is going to be in line with the strings. So I like to start with an Eastern grip. You could also start with a little bit more frying pan, like a little bit more semi. But if you're a complete beginner, I would go traditionally maybe a little bit Eastern. I just wouldn't go continental. That's like too old school. You know, it's hard for the arm to roll over at the end. So Eastern or semi-Western would be the way to go at first. Now that we have the grip, let's do the rest. Okay guys, so I'm gonna be facing this way so you guys can get a better look. I have my ready position like this, and the take back is going to look like this in a fast motion, or a little bit fast motion depending on how the ball comes to you. But if you had to learn this the slow way, it would be right leg out, followed by your left leg stepping forward as the racket is going back. Ideally you want to do these two together. Yes, you could place the racket here first and then put your foot, but in tennis, you know, your body is synced to everything else, so you want to get used to turning everything together. Once you're ready, once you're in your slot position, now you can begin your forward swing. So again, you start on the ready position. You're going to begin your turn by turning with your leg, and you're also going to start taking the racket back slowly to a position that looks like this. From this position, you're ready to begin your forward swing. Now I want to show you guys what my racket looks like from the back perspective so you can see this detail. When I get into a position like this, I like to have my racket slightly further back, like this, slightly laid back. And this will help you as you're coming forward at the end. If your arm looks lined up like this, you take your racket back and everything's lined up, you may come to the ball the wrong way. This would be no good. You could still make it work, but ideally, when you take your racket back, have your wrist slightly a little bit forward. Not a lot. I'm not saying you have to look like the pros in this take back, but just a little bit. What it will do is, as you start coming forward to the ball, as you start doing a little bit of small rotation, you will come to the ball with your racket looking square like this. You want to come to the racket with square like this. You do not want to go use the wrist first. A lot of people, what you call like the wrist beats the hand and then continues to do something funky at the end. It should not look wristy at all. It should look more neutral, and then from here the arm can continue to roll over. So that is why when you take the racket back, just have a little bit of a position that looks like this. So it's very subtle, but if I'm taking it back, racket is slightly behind, hand slightly first. Now we can begin the second part. Okay guys, the forward swing is very important. When you're coming, let's say you achieve your slot position, you got to here perfect, great. Now how do you go from here to here correctly? Because a lot of times this is the aha moment. It's getting to here correctly and continuing to go past. So basically, you could do this with your arm only. You could learn with the arm only. Sometimes I teach you this way, where you just move your arm to the contact from slightly low to high. And then from here, you want to continue to go this way. You want to let your whole arm continue to go up on the ball, not the wrist, but the whole arm continue to go up on the ball and finish and almost touch your back. Or you could even go like this, catch your racket. No right or wrong here. The most mistake that people run into is again the wrist. The wrist leading here, or the wrist breaking too soon at contact. I've even been guilty of this, so I know what it's like. So you want to try to make sure that everything is neutral. At contact, afterwards the face of the racket should be square, and afterwards your whole arm will continue to go. Now, if you're a beginner, if you're like a true beginner and you're learning this, you may end up finishing this way by accident, and it's not so terrible, because I mean the goal is to get the ball over the net consistently, even if your swing doesn't look, you know, beautiful like a Roger Federer swing. This is not terrible, but ideally you want to look like this. It should look like bam, this way. Now, if you are using a little bit of your core and your hips, they play the role in tennis big, kind of like golf, where I'm on the slot position and there's a small push from your back, hip, and knee that go together, which is going to help your arm going forward, and then the arm continues to go. So there always should be a slight push, even if you don't get a complete turn with your hips, like this way, and you only turn maybe half. That's okay, as long as you have a little something. Now you're using a little bit of the large muscle groups, but ideally when you finish in this position you want to be maybe more hips forward, elbow here, right leg slightly forward and slightly bent. So guys, those are some of my tips for a beginner. If you're a beginner and you're looking to improve your forehand, make sure that you're doing the reps, that you get a good coach. The part of getting a good coach is very important, because as you guys know, tennis is it's a very mechanical sport. You got to know the right fundamentals to hit a good ball. So make sure that your coach is doing a good job with you. So guys, I'm gonna hit a couple from this side so you get a look. So again, I'm placing the racket this way. My feet are sideways, they're slightly far apart. And then from here, I'm gonna go to the ball like this way. So again, I toss the ball, I set the racket, and I finish. So I turn, I set the racket, and then I finish. Now, it's not wrong to slightly close your strings in this position. I'm not saying that's wrong either. Sometimes for some of you it may be more beneficial, but if you're just playing tennis for the first time, it may throw you off to close the strings a lot. So maybe even just closing them a little bit is still okay, as long as you're letting the arm kind of be pushed by your body. Even if you only push with the arm, that's fine. As long as we're making sure that we're coming up to the ball. So again, it should be like this way. There's a swing that looks like this. So I'm going slow motion, setting the racket. I'm setting the racket and I'm gonna go contact and finish. Well everyone, I hope you like this video. If I had to add something else right before I finish it, would be maybe the stance. If you're doing this in an open stance, it's the same concept as the closed stance, but you want to be maybe more like this way with your legs. So you're just sitting slightly on your right leg, left leg stays in place, it just kind of bends. So something that looks like this. So you want to match my knee positions with your knee positions, and again slightly turning into the ball and then going to the finish. So if you see, there's a little bit of rotation and I'm finishing the swing. Everyone, I hope you like this video. This is meant for beginners. It's just to take your racket back and finish. As you start getting better, racket above your wrist would be better. It's always more advanced to start with your racket up. It makes a better swing. Some beginners learn better with the racket up. However, there's a large part of beginners that learn better with the racket straight down and just forward to swing, because there's less to think about. Anytime you make something less to think about, it makes for the rest easier. Have a good one, everyone. Like and subscribe. Guys, another tip that I forgot to mention is if you're a true beginner and you're using regular hard balls and you can do it, that's great. Kudos to you. But if you want to make the learning process a little bit easier, I recommend you play with green dot balls. These are balls that you'll see little kids practice with, like 10-year-olds. because they're not ready for the hard ball yet. And I believe for a beginner, these make learning much easier. Basically, when the ball bounces, it slows down by about, I don't know, 75%. So instead of being out of 100, it gives you more time to see the ball and to feel the ball. Once you get used to this ball, now you can progress to the other ball. It'll make things much easier. But I recommend using the green dot. Green dot is better if you can use it. If your coach is only using hard balls, but they have a green dot, ask them if you can use the green dot at first. It may help things be much easier.